Yes. Thank you, Austin. Thank you I forgot to hit my mute button. This is why I love TJ, the chart master, because TJ does everything for us. I'm now doing 100% of everything on the show. So, yep, I got it. Sound is up now. Thank you, guys. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a delay, so now you guys can see it. I'll start all over again. Welcome to Trader Merlin. Hopefully, you guys had a good trading session out there. Obviously, a lot going on. As Ruben says, a pretty historic day. Yeah, I guess it's a very historic day, especially when we look at what the government is potentially doing. And on my little rant there about socialism while I was on mute, I'll go back to that because so many people are complaining about socialism. Aren't we just dealing with it right now with a $2 trillion bailout of everybody? I think that's socialism. So let's not bash it too much because I'm sure most of you will really enjoy those checks coming from the government, those of you who can receive them. All right, we will start things off today by obviously letting everyone know the program for today. I'm going to do a little bit of an overview of the markets, just touch bases on where we were with regards to yesterday. Obviously, some major swings to the upside out there for most of our top 7 markets we're going to look at. We're also going to go into the digital currency thing. This is a provision that they're talking about in the stimulus package, which for many of you probably don't care. Others are going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Others are going, I absolutely hate it. Doesn't matter which side of the fence we were on, whether you're a lover of the technology or a hater of it. I'll explain a little bit about digital currencies, how they're going to work, and what the impact might be for you. It is really important because if you've ever read George Orwell's 1984, we all know about Big Brother. And what this will do is usher in a whole new dimension of Big Brother watching exactly what you're doing. While it may sound great, it could have some problems. And remember, a lot of the times when we get these things that are really, let's say, a hindrance or potentially bad for the American people, it's in a moment of crisis. When everyone goes, I don't care what the hell you do, just get it done and get it done right now. Right? And that's what people are freaking out about. We want the stimulus package for this, for the coronavirus, save our economy, and everyone's pushing for that. That's when those politicians sneak in a lot of shady crap that they probably shouldn't do, and we are left holding the bag when that all happens. So we'll talk about that. I've received tons and tons and tons of questions over the past couple days. Again, I thank you all for doing that. You can always send in questions for the show, for the program, by simply going to tradermerlin.com. Send in your questions there, and I will get to those. I'm not quite sure what tomorrow's show will be. It's either going to be a show 100% listener questions, or going back to a question that's come in from about 10 of you in the past week, which was, how do you get started in day trading, and what should you be learning as a day trader? So if that's something that interests you, I'll let you guys be the jury and vote on that one out there, whether you want a show just on day trading, kind of how to do it, what are the ins and outs, or just go to answer all your listener questions, as I have a lot of those out there. So that will be the topic. You can go to tradermerlin.com if you have some questions or feedback. A lot of you guys sent in great feedback for the show yesterday, and we really do appreciate that. Okay, that said, it's time for your market update. I know most of you are active and knee-deep out in those markets watching what's going on today, so we won't spend too much time or go too in-depth on this. I know, as I said, most of you guys are grinding it out every day trading. Some of you who might be new to the program, hopefully this will help you understand a little bit about the methodology, what we're looking for in these markets, not necessarily specific levels that may come down the road as I try to monetize this program, but for right now we'll keep it high level. So let's start things off with your worst performer. I say worst performer, it really wasn't that bad, folks. Crude oil was up 3.94% today. Those of you who follow the show know that I had 4 crude oil contracts on, and I actually took, I should probably check that and verify exactly what I have on right now. I think I took 2 off, but I will let you guys know right now. I'm down to 2 crude oil long. I'm still long those, and I actually had some great trades today on the S&P, but we'll talk about that later. Crude oil, again, as I mentioned, up 3.94%. It's great when you look at this little blip here. It doesn't even look like much, right? This small little, we'll call it almost a spinning top, right? It has the same topping tail and bottoming tail with really no change in direction. So kind of an interesting day out there for crude oil. That said, it was your 7th place finisher, up 3.94%. Now, we'll go to cryptocurrencies, which I actually had a whole bunch of other stuff I was looking at on the crypto space because of what happened today. We will bring up your Bitcoin chart here. Hopefully, why are you not bringing up Bitcoin? There we go. Bitcoin pretty good, 6.02% gain. It's still only at 67.55, right? Remember, a couple weeks ago, this thing was at $10,000, so the volatility here is obviously off the charts with regards to price movement, but 6.02% today for Bitcoin, and I think this has a lot to do with the openness to our government and our Fed to break down the doors here with digital currency. All right, number 5 on our list is going to be gold, which was just barely behind this guy today. Gold was up 6.04%. Again, on the chart, it looks way more dramatic, I think. I think this is actually showing you some after hours as well. 1663 is where it closed at. Yeah, that's actually right where it was at. 6.04% gain for gold to 1663, making it your 5th place finisher. Treasury yields, for once, are not topping the list, right? Normally they're the top, either top or bottom with regards to what happened. You can see we've got a small red candle here, which means that yields jumped a little bit. We're at 0.816 on the yield for that 10-year Treasury. That was up 6.81%. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, all right. I'm losing track of numbers because I don't have a printer here and all the other stuff I normally have in my studio. But I will go from that to, I believe it's 4th place. Yeah, I think we're going to call it 765. I'm going to rule out I'm going to throw the Dow in there today. Why not? Dow gets honorary mention because it's 2,000 point day. How can you not say something about the Dow? All right, here is your NASDAQ 100. You see a giant green candle out there today. That is the case for most of these major market indexes. Just a beautiful up move. 8.12% for the NASDAQ. Woo, woo, buying coming in. Of course, when you know the Fed is going to step in and our government's going to step in with a $2 trillion bailout for the American people, that means $2 trillion potentially back into our economy, which means back the truck up, right? Buy the dip. Well, look, I think that this is a great opportunity for us to look at supply levels and short the hell out of them when we get there. That is what's going to be my plan anyway. You guys can beg to differ. That's okay. Big green candle out there today. You saw the NASDAQ was up, I mentioned 8.12%. The composite was at 74.17. So beautiful day out there. 557 point day for the composite. All right, S&P 500, which it's funny, I've actually just had shorts on S&P all day long. Had some great ones off that 2400 mark on the ES. Here we are right now at 2439.50 on the day, still showing very nice gains. That is a gain of 9.38% for the S&P 500, which normally Russell RTY. Here's your Russell. What's interesting and more interesting about the Russell than I say the other indexes is because we've had this kind of 5-6 days where it just hasn't seemed to really make a higher high. Well, today we close at a pretty significant point. You notice from here, right around that 1100 mark, there's not much to stop it till we get to, well, you could say 1170. So a 70-point pop would not be out of the norm. Of course, I say that. The Russell jumped 96 points today, putting it in your 2nd place at 9.39% gain. So beautiful day out there for the Russell. But that isn't really the story. The story is I hate the Dow because it's not really a market. It was up 2,000 points today. Goodness gracious. 2,112 to be precise is what we saw out there for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, so making it your number 1 performer. Closing the day at 20,704. A far cry short of where we were just a couple of months ago, kissing the door of 30,000. But we're back down to 20. That, my friends, is your market update. Hopefully that puts a little bit of green into your pockets out there, and you guys did well in today's trading session. Boy, where to go? I got so many conversations here. Let's see. There was one I just saw. It said, buy the rumor, sell the news. Was that? I'm trying to keep up with you guys' chat today. I know the other day I just did not have a chance to go with it. Austin says, buy the rumor, sell the news. That's my thinking right now. You know, when we look at that chart of the S&P 500, I'll show you the intraday, which I think is an interesting one. The intraday really shows when that announcement came and how people are reacting. Right now, they're still gobbling it up. They're still buying it up in the after-hours session, but I think that will wane. Let's go to a 5-minute. I can just, through proxy, I'm just going to say, TJ, could you bring up the 5-minute chart here? You can see basically what happened here almost all morning. We had a great truck to the upside. We hit the lock limit up, which again, added to the list of just haven't seen that very often, but lock limit up. Therefore, you see these markets rally to the upside, continuing because of the stimulus package. This little short part here, this little sell-off, I caught a majority of this. It was just a great move. Only had 2 S&P futures contracts. I am short right now on the S&P, which is a little bit scary. I'll probably eat a loss on that one, but we'll see how it goes in another couple hours or so. You got a really strong supply level at 2450, I think. So That's where we're at right now. But yeah, I do think this is a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. And as this news comes out about the stimulus package, I think that's priced in today. I still don't see them settling it and getting to the nuts and bolts of all the details with this with this bailout stimulus package. But that's just me. Again, as I think some of the chat members were saying earlier, this is where things get whisked right into the plan without us really knowing about it. So unfortunately, I'd rather them take their time with this stimulus package, because let's be honest, it's not going to do us any good for another month or two. I'm actually hearing about other countries. My friend from Italy was saying that Italy is going to keep their confinement and all the containment stuff in place until June, April, May, June. Imagine another 3 months of this. I would not be a buyer of this market at this point. Hold them if you got them. Okay. That brings us to the main point, which was talking about the stimulus package itself and reading kind of through some of it. I don't know all the details, so please don't consider me to be an expert on it. But there's pieces that I pulled out of that I thought were noteworthy. Obviously, $2,000 per adult would be nice. Of course, that peaks out at $75,000. So at least in California, probably not a lot of people are going to be getting that check just because the incomes are a bit higher. The other part of it is the digital currency side. So today, I was going to kind of revisit something we talked about in the past on digital currencies. So for those of you who might not know, we are all right now, every single day, using, we'll just say digital currencies, right? Not necessarily crypto, but a digital currency. You are using your ATM cards, you are using your credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, all that stuff. That's a digital currency. The difference here is it's now going to shift that away and make it the Fed will control it. Now, here's the argument for why that they would want to create a digital currency. I think that it's a keep up with the Joneses thing, because China is clearly ahead of us in this category. Sad to say. So if we have a global market where you have everybody competing to be the dominant currency, the currency that everybody wants to use, and your currency doesn't allow you to make instant payments, snap of the fingers, those payments are made, then I might go to another currency as a medium of exchange. We talked about some of the inefficiencies of fiat currency. Right now, if I want to send Brendan, who's out here in our audience today, let me just make sure. I know, Brendan, you're there, but I always like to give other people props too. We've got Big Ed, we got Brendan, we got Tiger. Hello, Tiger, good to have you with us. Ruben as well, and Austin. If I want to send you guys right now $1, like instantly, that process could be cumbersome. We do have technologies now like Venmo, like Zelle, other applications where I could probably do that, but I would have to find out all your contact information and use that app. That still is a digital currency, but it's going through an intermediary, your financial institution, somehow tapping into a bank account. The difference here is if the Fed does go ahead and create this digital currency, which, make it clear, it's not a cryptocurrency per se. It depends on how their record keeping is done. Probably it's not going to have a blockchain back end, but they're going to have a digital currency that the Fed now controls all of it. So the argument here is it's so much easier, and I'm putting on my Fed hat. I wish I had some kind of political hat, so I'll put the hat on backwards, and I'll be the Fed. So we are the Federal Reserve, and the inability for us to send out $2,000 checks to 300 million Americans could be a bit challenging. We propose, instead of all the stamps and infrastructure and delays in making sure that money gets there, and also to be sure that the recipients actually get their $2,000 checks, we propose to do it all digitally. Therefore, everyone can just log in and have access to it. We don't have to do anything but administer those accounts and watch them. Back to the Merlin hat. This is the problem, right? Because now you have a system where the Fed would control everything. So if you have that $2,000 check that's sitting there, who's to say that once that system is in place and established, that it doesn't now grow and allow you to put almost all of your assets there? So instead of having your money at a Wells Fargo, a Chase, JP Morgan, whatever, you just keep it at the Fed. Here is why I don't... Brendan says the Fed is a steaming pile of fraud. Yeah, look, I'll try to keep the regulators away from me as much as I can. The Fed obviously does serve a purpose. Whether you're Keynesian or Austrian, it does serve a purpose, does add some market stability. I get that. But I agree with you, Brendan. I think the Fed has long overextended their powers, just like I think the FTC may have extended their powers too. But we'll have to wait to that day in court. So here's the challenge. Do you want super fast efficiency where I can, in one click, literally send money to all of you as one group message send and say, here you go, here's $1, or however much I want to send you? Or have a system where, in order for me to send you that money, it's got to go through a checking account, a Visa, whatever that account may be. It could be time delays, could be cumbersome, extra fees added on. I think at surface value, we would all look at that and say, I'm really excited about something like a digital currency because now I can have it instantly. You look at some of the relief efforts, and let's say you have family members abroad. You got family members in China. Well, you can't go visit them, but I could instantly send them money that would show up in under a couple seconds. To me, that's amazing. But I, like many of you, do not trust the government, and I do not trust our Fed. There's a statement that my students recanted to me many times that I use at university. It kind of became my mantra. And that mantra is, non mi fido di nessuno. I have to hold my hands like a true Italian. Non mi fido di nessuno. What that means is I don't trust anybody. The risk here is that the Fed, at any point, could cut off those funds. So let's say, for example, they witness Big Eb, right? I don't know, Big Eb, I'm just making this up. I don't want to offend, hopefully not offend you. But let's say Big Eb does something he shouldn't. He's caught shoplifting, right? He steals a Snickers bar from a 7-Eleven or something. Who knows? I'm just making up something. That video gets back to some regulatory agency, and they look at that and they say, hey, we have you on camera. Boom, all your money's frozen. Would you put it past your government to do something like that, or a clerical error where all of your money is instantly frozen? To me, that is one of the scarier things out there with regards to this, call it a centralized currency. This, I want to make clear, is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized. This is exactly why we want something like Bitcoin, because the Fed, our government, our regulators can't come in and say, we're taking your Bitcoin, shut it down. They cannot do it. The system won't allow for it because it's distributed. This digital currency, which they're talking about, would not only not be distributed, it would be so centralized on one entity, the Federal Reserve, which, if you go back to 1913, has devalued the value of the US dollar by 97%. So, to me, therein lies the problem. It's nice. It has some... Big F says, I love Snickers. Thanks, Big F. It has some problems. It also has some great positives to it. I am, for one, not in favor of this. I don't think we should have it. It should be our choice whether to use that system or not. So obviously, for me, who's someone who's very active in the financial markets, I would want to have maybe that $2,000 check, but that's all I would keep from the Fed. The other part here would be held in other accounts that I choose, and maybe different asset classes like euro, yen, pound, whatever, just different currencies. So to me, that's the dangerous part here, is understanding it will be centralized. So while everyone's excited about this, and it by the way, it did get pulled from the stimulus package. I don't know if that will ultimately get through or not, but I wanted to bring that up today because it's not what we think. It's not the crypto piece. Remember, and I don't have all my graphics here today. I just didn't have time to prep. The blockchain itself, depending on which cryptocurrency you're using, may be centralized, like this one here, which would be the Fed having all access, all control, and all powerful. They could instantly devalue your currency. They could instantly issue more, again, devaluing it. They could also seize your currency, freeze your accounts, do whatever they want. To me, that's scary. It sounds like something out of an episode of The Black Mirror. If you haven't seen Black Mirror, that's an entertaining show. So I'd want to have a crypto side. I know Brendan was one of our big advocates for cryptocurrencies, as am I. I think that there's a great place in our market for them, especially things like Bitcoin. There are some others out there that are probably a bit shady, so I'd be careful with those. All right, let's see. Let me try to go through some listener questions here. I wish I had TJ to read all these because there's a lot of stuff going on here in our chat, and unfortunately I can't do all of it at once, so bear with me, guys. I try to go through. Why doesn't automatic deposit work in this situation? Because what would have to happen is the Fed would actually have to have access, have to get bank account information from every single American. Do you think that's going to be an easy process? Which bank account should we send it to? This, in essence, what the Fed would be doing, would be making an automatic deposit, but to their own bank, and they're controlling the ledger. So that's, again... it's a double-edged sword. It might take time. It could take weeks for you to receive that check. Whereas if it was a digital currency like they're proposing, it could literally be in one click of a mouse, and it's done in a second. To me, that's exciting. That's great. But what I'm worried about is that because of the efficiency of that type of transaction, that digital currency that's centralized, that we now all of a sudden, and our governments all of a sudden go, wow, let's remove fiat currency. Right, I was making a joke the other day. Actually, I don't have my wallet in here, but I was making a joke the other day where I was throwing money around the studio on Power Trading Radio. Why? Well, because who needs physical money anymore? I mean, it's great if you're doing things that you don't want people to track, but as soon as we get to that point of digital currency where everything is tracked, they'll know where you spent it, how much you spent, what you bought. They'll know everything. Not that they don't have that information already through your Visa consumption, your MasterCard consumption. I mean, they're even talking about tracking people if they're 6 feet away from each other now because of their cell phones. So the data is out there. I, for one, like the freedom to have cash and say, I want to use it when I want. I don't want you to know all my transactions or what I'm going to be doing. So to me, that's part of it. Going back to Nat's question, why doesn't auto deposit work? All right, let's see. Let me scroll back up here. The terrible part of having multiple computers. Ruben, I would keep those thoughts to yourself. Your opinions about AL have been pretty unfounded. I'm sorry. I've worked with the guy for a long time, and you haven't even seen the lawsuit in court. So you're making a lot of assumptions, and you make a lot of statements that honestly are pretty unfair. So I would kind of tone that down a little bit, please. Go by the book Creature of Jekyll Island. Yes, that's a great one. You can actually find it online. You can just type it in .pdf, and that will actually pop up there pretty quick. So what else do I got out here? Ruben says, yeah, I think that ETFs could become bubbles within themselves. Let me just real quickly address that one because you're right. It's an interesting one. You have multiple levels of ETPs, right? These are exchange-traded products. They come in a wide variety. The only ones you'll really catch me trading are ETFs, exchange-traded funds. And here's why. An exchange-traded fund, like I'll bring up SPY, right? This is an ETF. An exchange-traded fund has the 503 components. I think it might actually be 502 right now. So 502 components of the S&P 500 all in one share. Okay? So they're literally holding those instruments. So if something were to happen to the fund, which is the spiders, they're holding assets. There are other things out there, and this is why I think it's important to look at, in the Ruben's comment, is there's exchange-traded notes, ETNs. Now, these are dangerous, and you might want to be careful when you're buying these things because an exchange-traded note is only as safe as the company issuing the ETN. So let me see if I can find a couple of ETNs here for you. So when you're buying these ones, you kind of want to make sure to, let's see, I'm trying to find P2. All right, here's one. I'm trying to find a couple of them just so I can show you a picture. All right, so here's one. It's an ETN. It's the Eaton Corporation PLC. I have no idea what they do. No, that's their ticker symbol. That's not an ETN. I'm trying to find a list of them for us. Exchange Traded Notes, Fidelity Investments. Maybe it'll give me a list of them. So there are a lot of these ETNs out there, and what happens is basically it's on paper they hold the assets of that they say they're holding. So if something happens to that parent company, and maybe it's not a Fidelity or a bigger company, they could potentially lose all of it. It all goes away. And unfortunately, I'm not finding a list of ETNs out here, but that's the big difference. And Ruben's right. There are some pretty interesting things that you should know with regards to ETFs because some of those could be bubbles within themselves. I've been very careful on certainly any education I've done with regards to explaining those ETFs and ETNs. Let's go. Here's one right here. Okay, so I think that this one's probably rather safe. I'll go up here and I'll show you that left screen so you guys can see this one put in. Using click here, I will say, let's go to INP. Let's do INP. So INP, of course, does not want to show up. Isn't that great? It doesn't want to show up for me. So maybe I don't even get that ETN. Let's go to, how about DJP? DJP. Okay. So they're calling this an ETN, an exchange traded note. Now this one right here, if you look at the DJP, it has components to it. Obviously there are holdings within that, and I'll give you a list of what those are right now. DJP, and I'll tell you what that one does. It's a commodity index, right? Basically what they're doing is they're tracking a basket of commodities. So do they actually own the physical commodities? No, they do not. It's paper. So this iPath, okay, this is the iPath Bloomberg Commodity Index. The iPath is a pretty big family, so I wouldn't worry so much about them going insolvent or bankrupt. However, there are a lot of them out there that may go bankrupt. And if that happens, you're assuming that risk because it's an ETN. Why am I rambling on and on and on about this? Bottom line is, if we're looking to buy a diversified group of investments or an asset class, like commodities, like indexes, do your best to stay within an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, because the fund actually owns the components of that that make up that ETF, if that makes any sense. it's just a simple risk management thing we have to look for kind of when we're involved in these financial markets, right? There's so many little risks to us, and the more that we can remove risk from the equation, the safer we're going to be. This is kind of like the question I received the other day from an individual who was saying, "Hey, look, I've got more than I have more than $500,000 in one of my trading accounts, and they say that they're covered by Lloyd's of London. Am I okay?" Probably, but if I could take whatever's above, let's say 400,000, and move that into another account, so no account is over 500, then I'm probably going to be safer. I'm also safer from the perspective of I don't hold all my eggs in one basket. So if one bank crashes and I lose everything there and maybe get some government funding, okay. But I also have the stuff in other ways. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Let's see. What questions you guys got for me? Keep them coming. I'm in question mode right now. So locked limit down yesterday, now lock limit up. I just can't deal with this. I need some popcorn. It's funny, Herbert. I actually was going to do a graphic here for popcorn of the day. I've got all kinds of different ones. I'll give you guys a little treat here. I have been waiting to use this one. This is something I did long ago, but I thank Tim, one of our graphic designers, for helping me out here. I had to get him to design some stuff. But here is an idea I have. And if you guys ever see anything out there, they just go, man, what a jackass. What a donkey. I would love it if you send me that link or whatever to go to Trader Merlin, or Trader Merlin at Gmail is where you can where you can email me, or just go to tradermerlin.com and you can send in your messages there. But here's what I was thinking. I'll stop talking because I think this should have some audio to it. But here's the topic I would love to do on a regular basis. Yes, that's right. The donkey of the day. Come on, admit it. It'd be pretty fun. I gotta be careful though, because in this days of litigation, I'm pretty sure that somebody out there would try to sue me for that and calling them a donkey. But boy, I tell you, there are so many donkeys out there in the world. A lot of them deserve to be talked about. And this industry is just rampant with them. So hopefully that was entertaining as it was for me. Donkey of the day. What do you guys think? Like it? All right, let me go to a couple different topics. So I was going through a bunch of listener questions, and again, I will do my best to either tomorrow or the next day. You guys let me know. Would you rather me do an all-question show tomorrow or on Thursday? You guys call it. I'll either do all questions tomorrow or Thursday or Friday. Pick a day this week, and I will I will do just nothing but questions because I have a ton of them. For example, Big Eb. Thank you, Big Eb, for the question. It says, what do you think? Sell the news today. I did sell the news today, but I think that's a very, very, very risky thing. Right now, you're dealing with a market that is it's overwhelmed with euphoria because of the stimulus package. We didn't get it officially. As soon as that officially comes out, you'll probably see a big market spike, which is why I'm really debating closing out my position right now. I'm short on SPY. Good to go. Who is it for today? 11 Thursday. Cool. Well, yeah, I know, but you also be careful. Ruben says people can't sue you for calling them donkeys. Yeah, I know. I don't like making enemies, and I don't think, if you got something bad to say, usually my opinion is just shut up and swallow it. But there are some people in the financial markets that deserve to be made fun of for things that they've done in the trading world. So I will hopefully do that segment. So AVP, you guys are all over the place with when you want me to do it. It's I see a Thursday, I see a Wednesday, and I see a Friday. Yeah, I'll have to figure that one out. Topics are going to have to be until I get this set up here where I can actually stream Skype or have callers in. It's going to be just me, which this sucks, guys. I don't want to talk to you. I mean, I love talking, but I'm sure it's boring the hell out of you, and you'd rather get some great guests. I actually have a list of instructors that are all saying, "Hey, when can we come on? I want to talk. I got stuff to talk about." So I'm working on setting that all up. By the way, I hope you guys noticed today. I think the stream was a lot better, right? I didn't see. I'm looking at my software here. I have one drop frame, which is 0.1%. So hopefully that is a much better sign. I actually have a new computer that I bought. I'm actually going to put it together tonight, which should remove all of this and give you a much faster, better quality stream. But I will test it all out. So hopefully everything is looking good for you guys as well. Is it too intrusive to know how many of your? Is it too intrusive to know what many of your positions are? No, I usually I usually say it. Right now, I'm short S&P. I'm long crude oil. I actually have 2 call options, which are probably going to expire worthless. I have options on XOP and USO going all the way out to October. Theirs are so deep out of the money. It was a flyer. I took a flyer on it, and it was one of those gamble trades, which I'm okay to do every now and again, just because how quickly oil dropped. And then the next day, it dropped another 25%. So those are 4 of the positions that I'm in. Obviously, I have tons of cryptocurrencies. I have, what else do I have? I have some USO, and I have some Pan American Silver, PAAS, in a portfolio. So that's pretty much what I've got. Siraj says, did Spectrum talk to you finally? No, not at all. Honestly, if you saw my tweet last night, I was livid. It was an hour and a half on hold just to talk to somebody at Spectrum. I finally just gave up and dumped them. The good news for you is this. I'm using Spectrum Communications at my home right now. On April 3rd, I'm going to be making the jump to fiber optic because apparently they offer fiber in my neighborhood, and they just announced it. So I'm on the April 3rd installation, which means not only can I up all the quality of my streams, my feeds, and everything, but I can do a lot more broadcasting from home regardless of what goes on. So I may be doing a lot more. I'm glad to see that we didn't have any glitches today, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Yeah, right, Joseph? It's funny because I just changed one setting. I dropped it down one level on quality, but I'm looking at the pictures today. I mean, it looks fine to me. AT&T Fiber has been awesome. Yeah, Gene, it's going to be AT&T Fiber. That's what I got. Let's see. Brendan says he's short S&P. Sound great. Yeah. You know, and the price is right on Pan American as well. Please do a complete session on cryptos. Okay, we could do that. Internet is going to get crazy. You know what? Here's the other part. Where's the gentleman who came in? Frank, one of our regulars. And thank you for this one, Frank. This is actually a great idea. You guys know in the past, I have gone and I've built different portfolios. I did one for the Trump winning the administration. I did one if Hillary won. You know, obviously got to play both sides of this. And he says, why don't we do a coronavirus portfolio? And I thought, that's actually not a bad idea. Unfortunately, it would have been great if we did that in February before it really blew up and became a major issue. But I will, and if you guys have a suggestion of something you think might qualify as a safer position to be in these markets right now, assuming these markets are going to continue to crash, what might that be? You know, for obvious reasons, I think that, consumer staples are going to do well. I think grocery stores are going to do well. I think Grubhub is going to do very well. There's other ones, obviously we know are not going to do well. Airlines, unless they get a bailout, probably going to see more downside movement. So I'll probably build a portfolio here just to have some fun and come up with a hypothesis, and we'll track that one going forward, and hopefully you guys will like that one. All right. Siraj says a lesson on stop losses. Okay. I actually had somebody ask me, can you go over the nuts and bolts of entry, stop loss, and price target, which I can do that as well. All right, guys, that will do it for today. I realize I'm trying to keep this at a half hour. It was a much better show than yesterday. Hopefully the audio was good. We got rid of those 2 little light spots in the background here. If we're lucky, Yoa. No, he's outside. I was going to say, if you're lucky, I could bring in my man's best friend here. Yoa. I think he's outside. One of these days, I'll bring in my best friend, and he'll join me here on set. He's always great to have in studio. All right, guys, that will do it for today. I'm not quite sure. We didn't get a consensus. It'll probably be an all-question day tomorrow or just day trading perspective, talking about some of the ins and outs of day trading. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. Again, if you have any questions, comments, feedbacks, thoughts of improvement, I know this Grateful Dead backdrop probably isn't the best for you guys, but you can go to tradermerlin.com, click that little the button there that says send a message. You can send me messages 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I read them all. I actually will do more of the response here on the show. I usually don't respond directly. I'll respond directly on the show. So that will do it for today, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day out there. It looks like it's going to be a high flyer tomorrow. I will see you on Wednesday. Take care.